The rest of the story. Rance was a struggling actor. 1958, struggling actor in New York where twice the opportunities is offset by 5 times the available talent. Anyway, Rance, young, handsome, talented, was prepared to convince MGM casting director Dudley Wilkinson of his qualities as an actor. He was camping out in Mr. Wilkinson's Manhattan waiting room. When after an hour or so had gone by, he decided that today was not his day to be discovered. Rance must have looked a little disappointed as he was turning to leave because the sympathetic receptionist stopped him. She said, "I'm sorry, sir, but Mr. Wilkinson has his hands full with the children today." And indeed, a glance around the office told the same story a dozen times over. Parents and their youngsters, the former enthusiastically marketing the latter. In fact, the casting director's waiting room and the hall outside were wall-to-wall with little Oliviers and diminutive Helen Hayeses and their hopeful mothers and fathers. Clearly any other time would be a better time to see Mr. Wilkinson. "Would you care to leave a note?" the receptionist suggested, and Rance agreed that would be a good idea. And quickly he scribbled down, quote, "Noticed you're very busy today. We'll stop by to see you again sometime," and he signed his name. But then Rance added something. He did not know why at the time. Maybe it was sort of a joke. But he wrote, "P.S. I have a son who's a very fine actor." End quote. And he left the casting director's office, and Rance's son is the rest of the story. Now, first of all, the boy was only 3. 3! That's what was so funny about calling him a fine actor. But you know, the little fellow was extremely precocious. Extremely. He had never acted, of course, but he had seen his father perform in summer stock. And listen to this. At the age of 3, he had memorized all of his dad's lines in the play Mr. Roberts at the age of 3. In any event, Rance was not at all serious when he wrote in the note to Mr. Wilkinson, "P.S. I have a son who is a very fine actor." But let me tell you what happened. MGM's casting director, Dudley Wilkinson, took Rance seriously. And he called him up. He said, "Let's audition the little boy." And just a few weeks later, Rance and his family were on their way to Vienna, Austria. Not for a job for Rance, but in Austria, his small son was to make his motion picture debut. And I don't think you ever heard of the film that he made. It was called The Journey. But I know that for 3 decades you have cherished the talented child who got into the acting business by accident. Because once upon a time in New York City, an out-of-work actor trying to get a job instead launched a career for his 3-year-old son. And ever since, you and I have loved that little lad. First as Andy's Opie, next as Happy Days Richie, and now as a world-class motion picture director and producer. You and I have applauded the nice guy who keeps finishing first. Though we never knew his dad, actor Rance Howard, we certainly know Rance's son, Ron Howard. And now you know the rest of the story.